Hi guys, I hope you're all doing well. I am super proud of myself because I figured out how to do a screen recording because I'm a gigantic nerd. So I want to go over some of the work that you've done so far in AP Classroom. So we'll go over this poem first, which was your first multiple choice poem assignment. Um, I am not going to do a read through of this poem because you're going to be listening to me drone on long enough just going through the questions, and this is kind of a longish poem. Um, but just, with this one, it seems like some people had a little bit of trouble with it. And you just need to keep in mind overall with this one that this is kind of like a poem about, back in the day, this is how it was. And oh, look at now how it's changed, okay? And the reason for the change is this like craze of poetry kind of sweeping through and taking over, okay? So let's look at the first question. According to the speaker, poets are despicable if they. So this answer is actually going to be based on sort of the end of the poem here. I scarce can think him such a worthless thing, unless he praised some monster of a king, or virtue, or religion's sport, or unbelieving court. So when you look at the answer choices here, choice B is a little bit of a distractor because it's saying become involved in political controversy, and you see the monster of a king part, so you might want to go for that. But the monster of a king isn't really talking about political controversy. The more important part here is that he is worthless if he turns virtue or religion to sports, meaning that he takes these good things and mocks them. So the best answer is mocking what is worthy of respect, to please, elude, or unbelieving court, like just to get attention or, be popular. Okay? All right, on to number 2. According to the speaker, these madmen lack all of the following vices except, okay? So, now, talk about your terrible wording here. Again, big old jerks at the College Board lack all of the following vices except, meaning, which of these vices do they have? Okay, they're lacking all the following vices except. So, which of these vices do they have? So now you always, again, want to kind of look in context. So we're going to start a few lines up from line 30, and we're going to go a little bit past it, okay? But those who cannot write and those who can all rhyme and scrawl and scribble to a man. Yes, sir, reflect, the mischief is not great. These madmen never hurt the church or state. Sometimes the folly benefits mankind, and rarely avarice taints the tuneful mind. Allow him but his plaything of a pen. He ne'er rebels or plots like other men. Flights of cashiers or mobs he'll never mind, and knows no losses while the muse is kind. To cheat a friend or ward he leaves to Peter. The good man heaps up nothing but mere meter, enjoys his garden, his book, and quiet, and then a perfect hermit in his diet, blah, blah, blah. So, it's kind of, that whole section is kind of talking about all the bad things he doesn't do. So, rarely avarice taints the tuneful mind. He's not greedy. He's not rebellious. He doesn't plot against people. He doesn't cheat people. Heaps up nothing but mere meter. Enjoys his garden, his book, in quiet. A perfect hermit in his diet. He's not a glutton. So you're kind of going through all of these things, and you're seeing he's not greedy. He's not seditious, meaning traitorous or rising up against. He is not fraudulent because he doesn't cheat people, and he is not gluttonous. But what is he? He is vain, okay? He wants, like, the attention of writing the poetry. All right, but again, like, super weird wording in that question. Okay, according to the speaker, a positive aspect of poetry is its... All right, the answer to this question is found toward the end of the poem. Okay? What will a child learn sooner than a song? What better teach a foreigner the tongue? What's long or short, each accent where to place, and speak in public with some sort of grace. Those lines are about the value of poetry in teaching people things. So if you had trouble with this question, it could be a vocabulary issue. The correct answer is didactic usefulness. Didactic means related to instruction or education. Okay, so it can help people learn things. All right, number 4. Beginning in line 29, the speaker does which of the following? So, that's where we have, yet, sir, reflect, the mischief is not great. These madmen never hurt the church or state. Blah, blah, blah. Okay? So now we have the opening part of the poem kind of talking about, well, back in the day, all of the proper Englishmen acted a certain way. And now all of a sudden, this poetry is taking things over. But then he says the whole thing that we were talking about before. But the poets don't do anything really bad. They don't cheat people. They don't try to overthrow the government and so on and so forth. So he's kind of changing course a little bit there. Like, yeah, this is all the craze and it's trendy, but they're not actually so bad. So the best answer here is going to be C. He's qualifying his previous position. So he's kind of railing on about these poets, but at the same time saying, well, they're not all bad. Okay, number 5. In line 11, the phrase, wear the bays, is best taken to mean which of the following? This one's a little weird, guys. There's just no getting around it. Again, though, please always look in context. All right, now times are changed, and one poetic itch has seized the court and city, poor and rich. Sons, sires, and grandsires, all will wear the bays. Our wives read Milton, and our daughters plays. So the poetic itch seizes the court and the city. So everyone's got the itch about the poetry. Sons, sires, and grandsires all will wear the bays. Okay, it's referring to everybody thinks they're a poet. Everybody thinks that, they can create this kind of art. So the best answer there is A. Number 6, excuse me. In line 30, the phrase, these madmen, refers to, this question is kind of a gift, okay? Who are we talking about here? Who are we talking about in this poem? We're talking about poets, okay? And when he says, these madmen never hurt the church or state, he had just been going on and on about the poets, right? So that's kind of a nice straightforward one. Number 7, in lines 15 through 20, the speaker regards himself as... Okay, so let's find it. Here we go. Okay. I, who so oft renounce the muses, lie, not as self e'er tells more fibs than I. When sick of muse, our follies we deplore, and promise our best friends to rhyme no more. We wake next morning in a raging fit, and call for pen and ink to show our wit. So kind of the key here is he says, we deplore, our best friends, we wake. Okay, he's counting himself among the other poets, and he's saying no matter how sick of it we get, no matter how much we say I have no inspiration and I can't do this anymore, we always wake up the next day and want to write another poem. Okay, so the best answer there is going to be that he is another example of an incorrigible breed. He's just like the rest of them. And they never learn, even if they're having difficulty writing, to stop it. Question 8. In lines 43 to 52, the speaker attempts to do which of the following? Okay, so we're going from here all the way to the end of the poem. Yet let me show a poet's of some weight, and though no soldier, useful to the state. And then it goes into the other part that we already looked at about, it can teach people things. It can teach children. It can teach a foreigner a new language, okay? And so on and so forth. So what is he trying to do? Now, you might have had a couple of little vocabulary issues here on the choices. And I do encourage you guys, as you're working on this, if take a moment and look up the words. I know I have, timers set on it. But if you think it's going to help you, you're practicing right now. So take a moment and look the words up. So is he recapitulating his argument? Not exactly, because these are some new ideas. This isn't just recapping, okay? So that's not really the best answer. B, is this an anecdote? An anecdote is like an interesting little story, which is not what this is. Offer a justification. That kind of seems to be what he's doing, right? Yet let me show a poet's of some weight, and though no soldier, useful to the state, so poets do have merit, okay? So C is seeming to be the best answer. Is this an analogy? No, it's not an analogy to anything, and he's certainly not chastising the reader, okay? He's not criticizing the reader. All right, number 9. In lines 9 through 20, the desire to write is seen chiefly as, we actually pretty much already have looked at the components of this section. Okay, so, it doesn't want to highlight right now. Hey, wrong spot. Sorry, guys. Okay, well. Close enough. There we go. All right, so, okay, lines 9 through 20. We've kind of looked at this whole thing already. It's talking about the poetic itch taking over. The fact that, poets got a poetry, they can't help it. So the desire to write is seen chiefly as an irresistible compulsion. Okay, a writer must write. Number 10, lines 23 to 24 suggest that Radcliffe's doctors, even Radcliffe's doctors travel first to France, nor dare to practice till they've learned to dance. Okay, so like I usually tell you guys, try to think about what this means before you look at the choices. So when I look at this, what I'm thinking is, these are some of the best trained doctors, but before they're going to practice medicine, they're going to go to France to learn to dance, which means that they need to have these social graces along with their, book knowledge and their scientific knowledge. Okay, so Radcliffe's doctors, A, are as much concerned with social accomplishments as with medical training. Okay, that answer is very much like what I just said. 11, the relationship between lines 1 and 8 and lines 9 through 14 is best described how. Okay, so this is a question that I think when you read it, you go, ugh, this is going to take forever. But this one is actually not that bad, because what you're really looking at is what's kind of like the shift in tone and the shift in ideas from the very beginning of the poem, and then as it proceeds. So lines 1 through 9, okay, the very beginning part is talking about the sober Englishman, and it starts off with the words time was, so it's like back in the day, this is how it was. So what did the sober Englishman do? Would knock his servants up. That is not meaning what you think it means. Get your minds out of the gutter. He's talking about he was up before the household. He would make sure that, his servants were up and doing what they had to do, instructing his family in every rule, sending his wife to church, his son to school, so on and so forth. So, back in the day, they were very serious and they took care of business and ruled the family and ruled the household. Okay? And then times are changed, and one poetic itch has seized the city, and blah, blah, blah. We've already looked at this part. So, what's the change that takes over? Okay, so what we have is a description and a contrasting description, okay? What it was like then and what it's like now. All right, last one. Thank you guys for sticking with me. I know it's just like a lot of me talking right now. At some point, I'll make, some kind of fun videos and, I don't know, do a dance, sing a song. But for now, it's just going to be a lot of me talking so I can show you guys this stuff. All right, the change referred to in line 9. So this is actually just going along with the last question, what we just talked about. So it is a change from seriousness to frivolity. Okay, it was, the sober Englishman who was treating everything very seriously, and then the poetry makes it all frivolous. Okay? All right, the end. So I hope that was helpful to you guys. If going over it, there still are things you don't understand, or feel like you need another explanation of, please just either send me a message in Remind or send me an email. And I will be happy to try to explain a little bit more, a little bit better. I will keep making these videos to go over these with you. You're doing the work, so I want to make sure that you're getting as much, kind of help from me as possible in understanding it. So just, keep going, keep plugging away at it, and I will talk to you guys soon. Okay, I miss you. Bye.